All right, hey, traders, TG Watkins here. Let's see, we got everything up and running. So I had a few things moving this morning as I was coming onto the mic, and we should also be good on the social medias like YouTube, Facebook, X, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the market's finally coming down. Man, what a morning! This was a very interesting morning. So we got a few things to talk about. I'm hearing that there was news between Amazon and Nvidia. If anybody can help me figure out what that was, I heard about it just as I was coming on the mic, so I don't have anything to confirm with that. And I think that apparently is maybe what's helping to kind of grease the wheels to the downside right now. So that's pretty interesting. Anyway, the market was up today and it bounced twice trying to get up here. And I was definitely kind of thinking about this, like, oh man, am I? Because I'm essentially short the market. I got some call credit spreads on and stuff like that, and you could see up here on the 2 minute, like. Initially, this first pullback here was looking pretty good, and then it jumped up and tried to make like, new highs. I'm like, ugh, like what's going on here? And I just kind of had to stick to my guns on this, and because I didn't think that like I didn't want to go buy up here. I just didn't think this was a great place to go buy. And then look at this, just absolutely rolled over. The ticks, think the internals today, not really doing too much. There was a period right there that was a little bit strength, but look at the internals. Look at the order flow. It really wasn't anything, and we did the advanced decline was up, but then it kind of came down, and now it's going negative. So again, that kind of confirms what I'm looking for. And if we come over here, I know there are a ton of lines that I have drawn here on the hourly chart, but really, if you kind of look, the last one I'm looking at is the more of the top situation. You can see it's kind of just running right into the previous high in through here. And then you could also see this diagonal line. And yes, we are over the diagonal line, but I'm still wondering if we can kind of get below it. I'd really like to see if we can break below the hourly 21. We're right there. You can see we bounced off of it the last two times, and here we are on the third time. So it's like third time the charm. Like what's going on here? And I'm still wondering about this gap between price and the hourly 50, which if you look at the daily chart, we still also have a gap here on the daily chart. And so this is why I just wasn't, even though I saw the market moving up today, I was like, I'm just not comfortable like getting long here. So I didn't really want to get out of my shorts or my call credit spreads, that kind of situation. So yeah, we'll see if this kind of works. Distinctive. Let's see. Amazon released a new chip to compete with Nvidia. I don't think that's what caused the rollover, though. Yeah, it may not be what's causing it, but it could be. The market's always looking for news, right? Even though even though we have been prepared for the market to pull back, it might take news to kind of like get things moving. And so maybe that's kind of what happened today. So there's the SPX. And let's take a look at the NASDAQ real quick. Because the NASDAQ, this was the other interesting thing. There's definitely a bifurcation going on today. If you guys look at the difference between, say, the NASDAQ and the FNGU, the mega caps, basically, the FANG stocks, and then if you go look at the RSP or the IWM, we're definitely seeing divergences today. And so with the NASDAQ up here, like, yeah, you can see it did pop up here. I'm not sure. I'm not doing anything with the NASDAQ, but I looked at this and like, I get it. I know it's up, but I don't really, what am I supposed to do? Like, am I going to go to buy that? Like, no, I'm not going to go buy that. Therefore, I don't think that this is really the safest place to get long. And you can even look left, like right here, and you can see there's a level, there's a level, there's a level, and we're basically right there. So I also didn't think that was the best place to initiate a long. If I'm not willing to initiate a long, then I'm going to kind of keep my not bearish, but keep my pullback idea. That's really what I'm saying, is I'm going to keep my pullback idea alive. And I also mentioned that I still think that there's a gap here on that hourly chart until we get to support. And if we look at then FNGU, this is the leverage ETF of the FANG stocks. And Kurt, you were asking me earlier if I liked FNGU. I don't know if maybe you misunderstood what I was saying to Emil, because Emil was saying, "Hey, these things are up. Do we need to be careful here?" And I'm looking at something like FNGU, and I'm like, I don't trust this. I don't, just like the Nasdaq. I know it's up, but I don't really want to go buy that. That's not the buyable spot for me. I still view this basically as a 5250 maneuver. I know it popped up a little bit, but we still haven't even touched here. We haven't done anything. So, big picture, if we check back in a couple days, we might actually see a full fledged 50 250 maneuver where price actually does come down to that hourly 50. So that's going to be interesting over the next couple days. And then if you look at the daily chart, we still have the daily 8 below the daily 21. Now, again, I know that there are some divergences out there. The SPX has the 8 over the 21. The Nasdaq has the 8 over the 21. There are things like that, but not everything is totally together with that. And so that is something I'm looking at. And then the other thing I'm looking at the SMH, because yeah, there is definitely some strength out here. But this isn't where I want to go buy. This is not I don't want to go buy up here. We've already had a huge move. That's not what I want to do in through here. And so, the SMH has already been running the third ATR up here. And so this is just not where I buy. Maybe I don't short it, okay, but I don't want to go buy it up here. I'm just not comfortable or confident that this is the most ideal place to buy, because if you look left again on SMH, very similar to the Nasdaq, you can see kind of here's a level, and we're right there. This is just, it's not the greatest place for me to go buy this. So that's why I'm still being patient and waiting on some of this stuff. Let's see, Distinctive, you're on X. You were just about to put on a 0DT call credit spread at 68.50 and walked away for a minute, and it rolled over faster than I thought. Yeah, welcome to trading, right? Yeah. That was definitely a fast move just now. And the market kept teasing up there. It just kept bumping. And even that morning pullback to the 2-minute 50 and then the jump up to make basically new highs is like, oof, there's a lot of buying going on here. But then you can see this kind of rolled over. So yeah. And then if we kind of look at individual tickers, look at Amazon. It's kind of the same thing I'm saying in through here. I am not comfortable initiating a long up here. Maybe it goes a little bit higher. Sure. Okay. But this is not the spot that I want to get long. If I was going to be getting long, I would have been doing it back down here or here. And at this point, I'm kind of in no man's land. So I just kind of need to hang out and wait. And then apparently there was that news. And so Amazon was way up here and it got plunked all the way back down here. So yeah, I would still kind of wait and see if we can get a little bit more of a pullback on Amazon. Oh, and then if we look, well, let's do NVIDIA real quick, and then I'll do Tesla next. NVIDIA was kind of moving up, and kind of we come in through here, but it's still not. It's like maybe ready to swing long, but remember, NVIDIA is still kind of having some, I don't know, it seems like it's having some troubles out there. And the other thing that I was kind of hearing based on this Amazon and NVIDIA news, yeah, it seems like, everyone is trying to get in on the game on NVIDIA. Like, what is it? NVIDIA's margin is our other companies' opportunities. And so you kind of think with this news about Amazon trying to come out with their own chip, sure, NVIDIA's ahead, but now we have Google that has chips. We have Amazon that has chips. Just kind of wonder what kind of competition might be happening with all that kind of stuff. So that's one thing to kind of keep in mind out there. But if we look at NVIDIA, what did it do? You actually look here. Where do we hit? We hit exactly the third ATR. And you could say it even hit basically the daily 50, the daily 21, and through that area. And so, I think these things are trying to work themselves up off of the ground, but they've got some work to do. And yeah, it's just kind of interesting that they popped up this morning, and you could make the argument that this morning you look at NVIDIA and it was kind of floating in midair. I mean, look at it way up here and just way up here. And it seemed unsupported, just for the day at least. And then you get that news and it kind of greases the wheels to the downside. And so here you go. Now we got our pullback. Now, of course, this could end up being viable, sure, but I'm just kind of talking about these moves that I'm seeing for today. And then let's look at Tesla because this one was very interesting as well. Um, I've been waiting for Tesla to pull back, and then this morning it shot up twice, and I'm like, okay. Again, still can't trust it. So those of you in the Moxie room, you guys know all the things I talk about and all the setups and patterns. This is why I was not willing to buy it. And it's the same thing with the FNGU and the Nasdaq and even the SMH. We still have price up at these extensions, and I'm not comfortable with it. And you can see that Tesla is up at the 200 and up here at the daily 50, and it has the 8 below the 21. And so I've been saying we should see a pullback. And this was basically a pop and flop this morning. So look at the pop and then flop. And now it is below the hourly 21, which is what I'd like to see from the SPX at some point. Can we start breaking below the 21? And can we start heading towards the hourly 50? Something like that. And you can see that maybe Tesla's on its way, which is good because this is ultimately what I want to see from here. Now, let's kind of balance that. Let's balance that with, I do think that the market is trying to put in a low. And if we look at things like, check out MSTR. Anybody out there on the social medias, I see a bunch of eyeballs that have been growing as I've been talking, YouTube, X, Facebook, whatever. You guys come check out that video. Watch my weekend videos, really. I mean, you can see a lot of stuff out there that I put out there for free for you. But like this week, I think I put on Sunday because, Thanksgiving and everything. And I said, I think MSTR and Bitcoin are pretty much at their lows. I'm not sure. I was like, I feel like this is low. It might still be noisy, might still hammer out something. And that's where we got Monday. Monday was a down day, and I'm sure that threw some cold water on some ideas, and maybe they were fishing for liquidity and stuff like that. But look at the volume. Look at the volume that came in Monday on MSTR. And now you look at today, it's back up. So what do you think that tells you? I think that's an undercut. I think Monday was an undercut. I think it was a fishing expedition, fishing for liquidity. And if you look at the candle itself, you can see that the body of the candle actually closed right at the lows again. So I think that was a massive buying day for MSTR. And now it's up again. So this is kind of where, yes, I think that the market kind of needs to come down and settle in a little bit. But I think Bitcoin and crypto spaces are actually trying to hammer out their lows. And if you look at SOLT, this is Solana, it basically did the same thing. And you can see that yesterday it had this pretty big drop down here, and look, now it's right back up. So I think the low is in for the crypto things, and I would imagine, if crypto is done going down, then I think the market's done going down. That doesn't mean there can't still be pullbacks. I'm looking for pullbacks. I'm expecting that. That's what I want. But I think these things are starting to really hammer out their lows. I'll save a couple things for the Moxie crew specifically, since we've been talking about all these things, and I want to make sure that I give you guys the information that I'm kind of looking at. But generally speaking, that's kind of what I'm seeing out there. So yeah, happy to see these things up today. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy it like right now. I'd love to see just a little bit of a pullback on these things because, it's kind of extended for the day. But I certainly think that if you guys are interested in crypto, I think you should start paying attention to it in through here, and go look at IBIT, as a Bitcoin proxy. And you can see here basically a double bottom. And now look at this, guys. We now have an hourly Moxie price trigger firing. So yeah, I think this is the beginning of the move up, or at least the bottom getting put in for crypto. So pretty excited about that, because I think that also means that the market's going to go up. As I said, don't really want to go buy it right here, right now. We'll see if it can soften up a little bit. But I do think that's something important to pay attention to. Let's see, distinctive. So what call credit spread do I have on the SPX? Yeah. Well, this is also why I'm expecting, I would like to see a little bit more downside with this market, because I have a 6770. So I thought, and let me double check that. I think that's right. Yeah, 67.70. We keep hovering around break even, so I'm not too upset about it. But 67.70 right there, that is my short strike for the call credit spread. Maybe you look at that and you're like, wow, that's pretty far down. But I think it's reasonable because I think that there's a pretty big gap here between price and what I would view as support. And, if we can just break that hourly 21, I think that opens the door to at least coming down a little bit further. And then we can make, we don't have to make 100% from the call credit spread, but just, even 50, 60% would be awesome. It's usually what I plan for. And I'm still not comfortable getting long on, say, the market or the index when I still see this big of a gap between price and the daily 8. Now, of course, it can fix it by going sideways. The market can just flag, but I'm not so sure that that's going to happen. I'd like to see if we can actually pull back and dip because I'm looking around at some of these other things, like Amazon and SMH and stuff. I'm like, they're way too high up here to make me comfortable to buy them. So I still need to wait for something to kind of happen out there in order for me to feel comfortable jumping in with both feet on this market. We have been taking some trades. I'll show you guys this real quick out there on the social medias. NBIS, we took a pretty quick trade off of this one. So, and we actually did, what was it? Let's see, NEBX, which is the leverage ETF of this. So we bought it here, sold it this morning. It was about 21% gain. So pretty quick on that one. And then ALAB, and we traded LABX, which was the leverage ETF of ALAB. And there you go, guys. This pretty much hit my target. We bought it here last week. We sold it yesterday. Had a pretty nice move. I think it was 33% on that leverage ETF. And I saw that it came up even further this morning, and I was like, okay, so be it. But now look at this thing. It's imploding. So, I'm happy being out, and I got what I needed. I mean, we got 33% out of this one. And you can see pretty much in my target right there at the daily 50. That's what I was hoping for. And then you could even see on the hourly chart, we had a 50, 200, 50 maneuver. So again, it's kind of why I'm expecting, I'd like to see the market come down to closer to its hourly 50. And, I know this is an individual name, but it can happen in short order. So, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Distinctive, you still have the put fly for Friday. Okay, cool. Yeah. I also, I have not a put fly, but I do have a put debit spread for Friday. And I gave that one more time because I just, if I'm actually looking for a drop, then I need a little bit more time, which is good because otherwise I'd be out of time tomorrow. And so I think that's a good decision on my point. But yeah, look at these things. I'm wondering if this ALAB situation is part of that Amazon and NVIDIA news. Because, I mean, look at that thing. It just turned right around. So yeah, I think there's got to be something kind of happening out there with that Amazon and NVIDIA news out there. Okay, well, let's see. Let me pull this up. For those of you out there on the social medias, I want to make sure you guys know where to reach me to come in. You can get a 30-day trial for $7 and do all that kind of stuff. And then come here, you can see what we're doing, how I'm talking, and I'm on the mic pretty much every day. So come on over, check it out, and see what you can learn. I'm going to close the live stream out on the social medias, and then I'm going to hop over to the Moxie room. So